Ted Brooks with the Sports Profits, along with my partner Chris Temple here. Welcome, Chris.
Hello, how's it going?
Everybody loves Chris Temple. We're going to be featuring him a lot more here in his knowledge. All right, so guys, before we get into this is our first Trend Report podcast. I want to make sure that you understand that we're going to be showcasing some premier games with ranked teams where the public's going to be looking all over these games, and we know this is what you guys want, so we're going to showcase it for you. But remember, if you want to find some really big flaws in some of these lines, you want to be looking at some of the games that the public's not looking at. And if you want that, you want to check out our trial, click the link below and do so. Before we continue, let us get into this right now. We're going to be breaking down 4 games. On those 4 games, Chris is going to be providing the trends for those games, and then I'm going to be coming back and providing some other information, some logic, some different player stats, some more centralized, localized information that may show the other side. Out of 4 games, we're going to be giving 8 sides and totals from the trends. I'm going to be coming back with another 8 showing the opposite side, but 2 of the 8 are going to show the same side. So I'm going to have 6 opposite, 2 of the same. You can consider the 2 sames where Chris and I agree as free plays, free predictions. So watch the entire video to get those free predictions. We're going to be starting off with Cincinnati Bearcats versus the UCF Knights. Going to be an interesting one. Chris started off for us.
It sure is. So Cincinnati's 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games and 8-0 straight up in their last 8 games. So they're coming out hot, firing on all cylinders. Their offense is looking good. Their defense is looking good as well. They're 5-0 straight up in their last 5 against an opponent in the American Athletic Conference, and their total has gone under in 10 of their last 13 games. Now, their defense is not playing around. They're allowing just 12.4 points a game, which ranks 7th in the nation. So, you know, they're really stingy on defense, and we know UCF usually has a high-scoring offense, so it's going to be a battle of the wills here to see who comes out on top. The total has gone under in 5 of Cincy's last 6 games played in November. Now, with some of these trends, you know, you could kind of throw them out the window a little bit. November, this isn't a typical November, as we know. So, you know, the season's been delayed, games have pushed back. So this isn't normally, this would be like an October game. So I don't put as much weight into it as I typically would, but take it for a grain of salt, or do what you could with it.
So those trends, they're more to kind of show you, like we were saying before, which if a team's going deep into the season and playing well, then those trends matter more if it's an actual true deep season.
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for. Okay.
Exactly. So UCF, while they're 8-2 in their last 10 games, they're just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. So they're having a tough time covering these spreads. They did underperform a little bit in a couple of games where they should have won outright, but they did lose the games. But nonetheless, they are struggling against the spread.
Big spreads, though.
They are big spreads. So when it's a 34-point spread, you have one miscue and a fumble while you're going in to score, or allow a freak touchdown on the other end, you could blow that spread real easily. So that's why it's tough with some of these big spreads. They're also 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 against American Athletic Conference opponents. The total has gone under in 4 of UCF's last 5 games played against Cincy, as well as 4 of 5 in Week 12 games. What I'm going to do here, what my trends are telling me, is that Cincy and the under are the play to go with.
Yeah, I mean, the whole season seems to be trending for Cincy, so I get it. You have a team that's overperforming. Kind of reminds me of UCF a few years ago when they were really putting up all the points with Scott Frost, who then went to, I believe it was Nebraska, but that's what it reminds me of. And here's what I'll say to all of what you just said. And obviously, you know, it's an interesting season, obviously, with the pandemic virus and everything like that. The trends are affected by all of that, because when the season's thrown off, you're throwing off the patterns, and therefore some of the trends don't apply as much. Some of the trends arguably apply even more. So, yeah, I mean, listen, you got a Cincinnati defense that's 7th in the nation in scoring. And then you have a UCF offense that's 11th in the nation in putting up the numbers. So It's going to be a battle of the Colossuses here. You know, Cincinnati has been really overperforming. They're crushing teams, covering the spread. They played very strong conference teams, Memphis, SMU, Houston. They beat them all convincingly by at least 4 touchdowns each, beatdowns. The quarterback, Desmond Ridder, he's been a stud. And on the ground, they've averaged over 200 yards rushing per game on offense, okay? So that's another thing to look at. You look at their offensive ranking. They're ranked 15th in the nation in rushing yards, 13th in total scoring. Guys, I'm looking at this total of 62, and I think it's doable to hit that over. Cincinnati's offense is explosive. They can easily score 30 to 40 points, especially on a defense that's as porous as the Knights. I was about to say Golden Knights. That's what they used to be. And then, you know, on the other side on offense, you have Dylan Gabriel, a quarterback, running back Otis Anderson. The Knights do move the ball up and down the field at will, which is why I go back to that number of 62 and say it's very doable to go over. And as you can see, straight up in their last 20 games, they're 19-1 at home. Far superior home team. They put the points up. They cover the spreads. They're getting almost a touchdown, Chris. I mean, when's the last time UCF has gotten almost a touchdown? They're usually giving up 4 or 5 of them.
Yep.
Cincinnati's allowing 135 yards rushing offense per game so far this season. The UCF offense, guys, Otis Anderson, watch him put up 150 yards or more on the ground, scoring points on the defense. Disregard a lot of the trends, the Week 12 trends, the November trends. You got teams that have not played the normal, and you touched on it, Chris. They haven't played the normal amount of seasons. The total's gone over in 5 of UCF's last 7 games at home. That's the trend right there that I'm driving home, and I'm saying over. Both teams are going to put over 30 points. Interesting stat, favoring the Knights. They average almost a full turnover forced on defense and less than a full committed on offense compared to Cincinnati. So that's almost a 2 total turnover discrepancy between the two teams. Look for the total to go over and the turnovers to be the reason that UCF covers the +6. Let's move on to the next game.
Yep, so I will interject with this really quickly. You guys see we're getting discrepancies on our information. This game is going to be a really fun one to watch. It's going to be a great game, but you could just entertain yourself with the game by watching it. You don't have to play it. Make money with the private plays, relax, and wait for the good one to capitalize on. That's how you really make the money.
Yeah, he's right. Take advantage of the private plays, guys. That's where you want to be, and all of our clients, they'll attest to that for sure.
The next game we're going to touch on is Wisconsin and Northwestern. So Wisconsin typically isn't a team that comes out and, you know, puts points on the board like they have been, but they're absolutely crushing it this year. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games, 13-4 straight up in their last 17 games, and 15-5 in their last 20 road games. So they're coming up they're guns blazing even on the road. They don't need to be playing at home to be putting up numbers and winning games. 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games against opponents in the Big Ten Conference. And like I said, putting up a lot of points is helping them do that this year especially. They're ranking 4th in the nation in points scored, which is one reason the trends I'm looking at are telling me the over. The total has gone over in 7 of last Wisconsin's 8 games, and the total has gone over in 5 of the last 5 games played in November. So with that being said, I'm going to go with Wisconsin in the over.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to dispute what you're saying. Well, actually, it's my job here for our segment here to dispute exactly what you're saying, so I shouldn't say that. But the fact of the matter is, it could go either way on all of these games, and let us keep reminding you that. So take them with a grain of salt. Take them lightly. Just as Wisconsin is the 4th-ranked scoring offense in the country, Northwestern is the 11th-ranked defense in total scoring allowed. So that's all very interesting stuff, but Wisconsin's the 5th-ranked defense. So the 4th-ranked offense in scoring, 5th-ranked defense, they're beating people down. That's what that means. Northwestern has played more games. Wisconsin's schedule was interfered with by the corona outbreaks. They're 2-0, but quarterback Mertz has been rolling the offense. So they're ranked high, but it's only based on 2 games. They're averaging 261 rushing yards per game through the first 2. The number will come down immensely this Saturday, playing a stronger defense. Quarterback's thrown 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. We might think that changes also against very mediocre defenses in the past, and definitely not a mediocre one here. Defensively, as we said, they do rank higher than Northwestern, but the sample size is smaller, so we still think Northwestern probably has a stronger D here. Northwestern's 5-0, one of the best defenses in the nation. And listen, they're allowing 95 rushing yards per game. Nebraska put up 200 rushing yards against them. So fitting that number into the average, the other teams, very, very low numbers. Through the air, allowing 210 passing yards per game, allowing 14 points per game to opposing offenses. Remember, like I said, all of these numbers that we're giving out, all of these trends that we're giving out, they're all skewed and altered by the virus and by the shutdown. We're talking about a team that's played 4 games against a team that's played 2 games. We're talking about averages that aren't really averages because you're only talking 2, 3, 4 games. They're shutting down, though. However, they did shut down. Northwestern did. Iowa, Purdue, Nebraska, and Maryland. Very strong teams. They shut them all down. The quarterback transfer, Patrick Ramsey, is a good game manager, but he's going to put up mistakes against Northwestern defense. They're going to keep him in the ball game. We think they can win it for them. Wisconsin is 4-1 in their last 5 games against the spread, and the total's gone over in 7 of the last 8, but these are all against inferior competition, inferior opponents. I wouldn't worry about these trends so much. The same can be said about Northwestern. I mean, they're 5-0 in their last 5 games against the spread, against better competition than whoever Wisconsin's been facing. Wisconsin's 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games against Northwestern, and 1-8 against the spread in the last 9 games against Northwestern on the road. This favors Northwestern. Besides the home field advantage, this team under Pat Fitzgerald, very well coached, and we think it's the key to the trend here that home field advantage, the coaches are able to use that in their advantage, in their favor. The total's gone over, yes, in 7 of 8 of Wisconsin's last games, but on the flip side of that, for Northwestern, okay, it's gone under in 4 of their last 5. So you consider both of these being stout defenses. We see it, as opposed to what Chris said, I see it as pointing to the under. Northwestern has big run stoppers up front. We think that Mertz is going to be forced to throw the ball a little bit more, and we think he's going to be forced to make some mistakes. We're going to see his first interception of the season. If that would be a prop bet, I would put money on it. I'll tell you that right now. Northwestern's 5-0 straight up against the conference opponents in their last 5. Guys, it's going to be a low-scoring game. We think Northwestern's going to keep it within a touchdown. We're going under 44.5. Northwestern plus 7.5. Oklahoma State. Guys, this is going to be a game. We're going to give the same prediction. So this is going to be an official release, an official prediction, an official play. Make sure you watch this part very closely. Go ahead.
I think it's going to be really hard to go against with what we say. Oklahoma, typical Oklahoma, putting up 46 points a game, 6th in the nation. They're always lighting up the scoreboard. That doesn't change. They're 16-4 straight up in their last 20 games and 18-1 straight up in their last 19 at home. So they're really, really doing a number on opponents at home. They're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games. Oklahoma State, just 1-4 against the spread and 0-5 in their last 5 games against Oklahoma. So they've really been struggling against their in-state rival. Oklahoma State, just 1-7 in their last 8 games when playing on the road against Oklahoma. So struggling against Oklahoma in general, really struggling at Oklahoma on the road. The total has gone over in 5 of Oklahoma's last 6 games. As we said, Oklahoma puts up points. Everybody knows that. 6th in the nation in scoring, 9th in passing yards. They air it out, and there's a reason why they always put up so many points year after year. The total has gone over in 4 of Oklahoma's last 6 games against Oklahoma State. The total over in 4 of Oklahoma's last 5 games this season, and the total has gone over in 5 of Oklahoma's last 6 games against an opponent in the Big 12 Conference. So it really doesn't seem to matter who they're playing, whether it's a conference rival, whether it's in-state rival, or whether it's an out-of-conference game. They're putting up points, and usually they're letting up some points too. For that reason, I'm going Oklahoma, and I'm going the over.
Okay, well, like we told you guys, we do agree with one of these. As far as Oklahoma letting up points, Oklahoma State has 19th ranked defense. Oklahoma has a 42nd, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Oklahoma is an offensive powerhouse. We've given them out twice this year, once on a free video where they covered, and once privately to our private clients where they covered as well. And Rattler is very young. I think he's a freshman. He's a freshman, right?
I believe so.
And he's just doing amazing things. So here's what we're going to do. 7-1 straight up Oklahoma is in their last 8 games against Oklahoma State. And I think me and Chris are on the same page with this one. Oklahoma State's 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 against Oklahoma. And they just can't get the job done. These are the key trends for us also. And Rattler was shaky like the first game, second game. He's really found his form now. 5-2, but those wins have been coming in lately, and they've been covering. Now, since he's found his groove, he's making smart throws. They have a solid run game behind them. Couple of backs in there stable. Oklahoma State, very disappointing offensive production so far. Normally, they're putting up more points than they are right now at 28 points per game. They're ranked 67th in points put up. Passing yards, they're 76. Usually they're letting the ball fly a little bit better than that. That's not happening. The quarterback, Sanders, he was hurt. He did miss 2 games, but the offensive line has been porous. I mean, they're having protection issues. I think they're giving up. Well, so they're rushing for just over 4 yards per carry, and that's not really getting it done here. And the defense for Oklahoma, they're only allowing 100 rushing yards per game. So they're going to put it all on the quarterback right now. Sanders will be forced to throw the ball. It's going to be a recipe for disaster. He hasn't had enough time to make the plays against Oklahoma to really get the job done. We don't think he's going to get it done Saturday either. He's a young quarterback who missed part of the year, very bad offensive line, and they know they're not going to be running the ball, so they're going to stack it and bring the heat to him. They're going to be just making his life miserable. Oklahoma's defense averaging 4 sacks per game now. Oklahoma State's offense is giving up 3. Look for these numbers to tick up in this game. Whenever you have high numbers already and the high numbers meet each other, there's exponential growth in that. Trends point to the over. That's what we say here, and that's what Chris said. But in 5 of the last 6 games, the total has gone over for Oklahoma, and for Oklahoma State, 4 out of the last 6. But in Oklahoma State's last 10, the total's gone under 8 times. Based on the Cowboys' effectiveness, their defense, defensive numbers, ranking 16th in the nation. Guys, we think that in this under and this over here, the Sooners' top 20th ranked defense, with what Oklahoma State's bringing to the table, their effectiveness on offensive numbers, we look for Oklahoma to cover this game, but we look for it to be in a way where it's going to keep Oklahoma State low enough to keep this under 60.
So what you're saying here is the total really, I think, could go either way. But
the total can go either way, but Oklahoma is the free play.
Yeah, I definitely think we could both see that happening.
Play Oklahoma. There we go. We're going to give one more consensus play here, so hang on tight. One more game, one more consensus play.
And that game that we're going to be touching on is Iowa versus Penn State. So Iowa comes into this at 2-2 on the year. Penn State has been a failure of epic proportions.
That sums up Penn State's season very well. I like it.
Essentially, I think they came in ranked in the top 10 as the season started, and I believe they're 0-4 or losing games just in terrible fashion. I believe they were a huge favorite to Maryland, and they blew that game, and they just have not been able to do anything. Iowa.
They're not only are they 0-4, they're 0-4 against the spread. They're 0 in everything right now. I mean, there's all zeros in their first line. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Iowa's 15-5 straight up in their last 20 games. Penn State just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games, and 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games against Big Ten conference opponents. Penn State 0-7 against the spread in their last 7 at home. So they haven't been getting the job done at all. I mean, they've been really lackluster, and it shows. The total has gone under in 5 of Iowa's last 6 games on the road. Now, we know Iowa's defense has always been stout. That's what they're known for. Right now, they're allowing 14.7 points a game, which ranks them 12th in the nation, and they're doing a wonderful job at that. The total has also gone under in 10 of their last 13 games against a Big Ten conference opponent. So when they're playing these Big Ten conference games, they know their opponents well, and they know how to stop them, and it really shows. Now, the total has also gone under in 8 of Penn State's last 10 games played in November. For those reasons, my trends are telling me to go with Iowa in the under.
All right, yeah, so just to pick up on the patheticness of Penn State, they really, they had high hopes entering the season. They got destroyed by Indiana, which a game that they really had no business losing. Then Ohio State beat them by a couple scores. Then they lost 2 more games, including a 16-point loss to Maryland, where they were 27-point favorites. I mean, that's a swing of epic proportions. So that's a little microcosm of how their season's going right now. Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is where I'm going to kind of take the other side on this side that you had, Chris. This is their last chance to really avoid a failed season, even though it's already a failed season. This is their last chance to avoid pure embarrassment. After this game, they have a lineup that they can probably run the table on. This is their last tough game. They need to win this one. If they can win this one, they can win out. They actually can have a winning season, and they can have a positive record overall. So that's something that we believe they're gonna want, they're gonna go for, and they might play with a little heart and do something special here. Iowa's been on and off. They've been, hit or miss. We call it like a Jekyll and Hyde type of thing that they've been doing. 2-2. Sometimes they look amazing, sometimes they don't. The first 2 games, they lost by a combined 5 points. Purdue and Northwestern, very tough defenses. You got quarterback Spencer Petras. He made numerous turnovers for them, so that was a big problem for them. They have an NFL talent running back in Tyler Goodson. You saw him last week. Played against Minnesota, had 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 7.1 yards per carry. We don't see it happening again against Penn State. They're holding opposing running backs to under 4 yards per carry. Even though they've lost every game, their run defense is pretty solid. I mean, it's ranked 36th in the country. Iowa's run defense ranked 26th in the country. So you got 2 solid run defenses playing up against each other. Quarterback Sean Clifford was benched last game. He's expected to start again. He has not been good this year, not lived up to expectations, but his interception, or I should say his touchdown interception ratio is 9-6, which is better than Spencer Petras, which is 3-4. Penn State, they do have the ability, even though they haven't done it so far this year, they have the ability to put up more points on offense, we believe, than Iowa. We think that they really do. They just haven't been performing. And the fact of the matter is both teams are unlikely to score much at all because these are 2 strong run defenses nearing that top 30 mark. Iowa has an impotent passing attack, and Penn State's quarterback is just not much of a threat himself. The total's gone under in 9 of Iowa's last 13 games. 5 of their last 6 on the road it's gone under, and 10 of their last 13 conference games has gone under. Nothing points to the over here. So this is another spot where we agree. Unless Penn State just really runs away with this thing and really feels that they have a point to prove and goes absolutely crazy and scores 30-something themselves, we don't see this game going over. Iowa's 5-0 in their last 5 games in November. We don't care about November. We talked about this already. With this type of season, you have 2 teams that have played 4 games apiece. November is not November. Week 12 is not Week 12, so none of that matters. Penn State's 0-7 at home against the spread. I mean, listen, they have to do it eventually. They have to show some pride, play their ass off. Penn State, for the last 5 games against Iowa at home, they've won against the spread. This is a trend that I think you mentioned earlier that I think points to Penn State covering this game as a pride thing, as a rebound thing. It's +3. They very well could win it outright, but here's where we agree on that under of 48. We neither of us see that game going over, so there you have it. You have another free play, under 48, Penn State versus Iowa. All right, very good stuff here. Listen, if you guys want access to games that we're not mentioning here, games that you might think no one's really paying attention to, make sure you click the link below. If you don't want that and you just want to keep watching this stuff, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. Follow the Instagram. Hit the notification bell in the corner. Watch our stories because we always deliver really good stuff there. And that's about it, guys. So we hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you tell us you enjoyed it, and we'll keep these coming to you. We're going to do 1 or 2 of these things every week, I believe, and keep it rolling. And that's it. Ted Brooks.
Chris Temple, thanks for watching, guys.
Take care, guys.